This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. Viewers of this channel will probably recall my coverage of this very mysterious neurological brain disorder that popped up in New Brunswick a few years back. You may recall I was showing articles like this 4-year-old The Guardian article, Mystery Brain Disorder Baffles Canadian Doctors. We're talking spasms and memory loss, teeth chattering and hallucinations coming from this mysterious brain disease that was affecting many Canadians. In fact, mysterious brain disorder struck hundreds and hundreds of Canadians as cases are increasing. What is this mysterious brain disease investigated in New Brunswick? Leaked email prompts 5,000% spike in searches and more health questions that Canadians asked. They ended up putting together a whole investigative team to look into this potential neurological syndrome, investigation of a cluster of a potential neurological syndrome of unknown cause in New Brunswick. And then they ended up putting out this final report in February of 2022, investigation into a potential neurological syndrome of unknown cause. And they pretty much concluded there is no mystery neurological illness the committee had found. So essentially, nothing to see here. Canadian investigators find no cluster of a neurodegenerative syndrome. Now, obviously, the patients and the victims' family members are calling on New Brunswick to reopen this investigation into this neurological illness. They're not buying this. You've got the medical students in the area who are calling for a brand new investigation into this mystery neurological illness. And I'll remind you also about the scientist who is working on this, who claimed that he was actually cut off from doing his research for political reasons. Now keep that in mind, guys, when we look at the new study coming out just recently, clinical and neuropathological evaluations of the New Brunswick neurological syndrome of unknown cause. And according to their findings, this cross-sectional study, including 14 patients with second independent clinical evaluations and 11 with neuropathological diagnoses, found no evidence of a new disease, but rather it's just well-known, previously misdiagnosed neurological conditions that were identified. So today we're going to look at that mysterious brain disease plaguing people in New Brunswick. A new study finds it's just not real. And I got to say, guys, this whole thing just reeks of a massive cover-up. So we're going to look at that and much, much more in this video, guys. But really quickly, just before we do, I want to remind you that I'm heading to Sweden next month to cover the annual 2025 Bilderberg conference. And I'm going to need your support to be able to do so, guys. So far, 27 people have donated. That's awesome. I'm about halfway to reaching my goal. So hopefully we can get this number up today. Thank you so much to everybody who has contributed so far. Again, I can't do it without your support. We got 27 people already. Hopefully we can get that up to at least 30 today, guys. If that's something you're interested in, please click that top link in the description below on whatever video platform you happen to be watching this video on today. All right, guys, if you use the Brave browser, which I would suggest you do. It's an excellent browser, far better than, Chrome or Firefox or Safari or anything like that. But if you use Brave and you type in Dr. Michael Cohort, you're going to find this entry. And it talks about how in 2024 he faced controversy when he claimed that he was essentially cut off from researching a mysterious neurological illness affecting hundreds of people in New Brunswick. He expressed concerns that the reason for his limited involvement was political in nature. The symptoms of the infected individuals was diverse and severe, with some residents experiencing uncontrollable salivation and others believing that insects were creeping up on their skin. And you'll notice they link to the sources to this information, and here they have linked yours truly as a source. Press for Truth, leaked email. Scientists working on mysterious brain disease was cut off for political reasons. And back then, in that video, I was discussing how this clearly is stoking fears of a massive cover-up. As we see here, a top scientist who advises the Canadian government said that he was blocked from studying a freak breakout of a mysterious and deadly brain illness in young adults and teenagers. More than 200 New Brunswick residents have bizarrely developed a dementia-like disorder that causes vivid hallucinations and an inability to talk and write, memory lapses, and even physical paralysis. While the disease has baffled doctors, local health officials put the outbreak down to misdiagnosis, concluding that most patients, in fact, were just suffering from common illnesses like dementia and cancer, they say. Now, damning evidence has come to light that suggests that health chiefs may have purposefully blocked investigations into other potential causes, namely exposure to toxic pesticides. In leaked emails sent between Dr. Cohort, a microbiologist, and members of Canada's Public Health Agency, Dr. Cohort says he was essentially cut off from being involved in the research. In correspondence seen by The Guardian, this government scientist wrote that he believed he was cast aside due to politics, namely because of his desire to investigate links to environmental exposures. The curious problem emerged in 2021 when New Brunswick health officials said that over 40 people in the area were suffering with an unknown neurological syndrome, which had symptoms close to the degenerative brain disorder Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is a type of prion disease, which occurs when prions, a type of protein, trigger normal proteins in the brain to fold abnormally, which can cause illness and brain damage. I wonder what other kind of proteins and experimental mRNA technology was being experimented within around the time of 2021 that could have possibly caused some sort of neurological degenerative brain disorder. Gee, I wonder. You know, this guy was cut off from looking into any of these outside environmental factors. And then you got to consider, for his part, the neurologist who originally made the claims that this is potentially a new disease, Marrero. He made the original diagnosis. He says in an email on Wednesday that he's appalled that a parallel investigation with a small number of patients has apparently been conducted for a long time without our knowledge or our patients' and families' knowledge. Morrow says that in a profound disagreement with the study's conclusions, he has many questions regarding the methods and the content, including cases that have never been evaluated by us or that may have not been a part of this cluster. He's also surprised that a publication about such a potential impact happening in parallel to an ongoing public health investigation, and that included data until March of 2025, was published so speedily, in just a matter of weeks. I'm sure that our patients, families, and communities share the very same serious concerns. The Moncton neurologist said he's evaluated more than 500 patients in this cluster and provided a significant amount of unequivocal, sometimes critical environmental exposure evidence, as well as rare autoimmune markers in many of them. As such, I trust that the current process of independent multidisciplinary scientific investigation and extensive files analysis that is underway by our public health authorities could provide appropriate answers to our communities. He is hopeful that this process would include not only comprehensive additional patient testing, but also testing for food, water, soil, and air samples in the affected areas, as well as additional patient support and effective prevention treatment measures. So he is obviously suggesting they continue to look at all these other external factors, but he's saying like this thing isn't over. They continue to conclude that there's essentially just turn the other way, nothing to see here. But the family members and the victims and the patients are still like saying, obviously something is very, very, very wrong here. You don't get a cluster of hundreds and hundreds of people within the same area, and it all comes down to just being coincidental. That's essentially what they're saying, guys, is it's coincidental. And it's explainable by other things, dementia, other cancers, just various problems. So nothing to see here. Again, I think this whole thing basically reeks of a cover-up. That's what I was suggesting in this video leaked email on, this guy saying he was cut off for political reasons. Again, they put out this final report way back in February of 2022, but that wasn't the end of it back then. You had all the family members looking for, more of an investigation. Well, they just had that, and they just concluded, again, there's nothing to see here. There is no nothing going on. Again, guys, I do not think that this thing is over. I do believe we're probably going to hear more from that doctor. What was his name? Cohort, scientist Dr. Cohort, in regards to this, because again, he's been silenced when it comes to looking at outside factors. Again, the whole thing just reeks of a cover-up, so just wanted to bring that to your attention because I've been covering it essentially since it first popped up 4 or 5 years ago. Again, what else popped up around that time that may just have something to do with this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, guys. I want to remind you, if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this info, don't forget to check me out at this Go Get Funding campaign. I'm going either way to Stockholm, Sweden. It usually costs me around $4,000 on average to pull off one of these Bilderberg conferences. I've raised just about half of that so far, so hopefully we can get a few more people contributing today. Thank you so much to Costello, Harvey, Gary, Ronald, Jonah, Brian, Ingvar, Thomas, and all the anonymous people who have already contributed here. Again, I can't continue to do this work here at Press for Truth without the support that comes from you, the viewers, and this is a great way to do that, guys. Check out that top link in the description below. And that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to give you an update on this mysterious neurological brain disorder. I don't think this one is over. I don't think this new report is the final conclusion. And I'm sure I'll be coming with some updates about this as we hear more about it, probably in a year or two from now, but we'll see. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, guys. Please don't forget to click that thumbs up button, share this one with your friends and family, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.